Hello, welcome to my channel once again. This is Unisport, and of course, on my channel, I do book reviews. I talk about life experiences to the end that we all learn from, the mistakes therein that we might not repeat the same, you know. And today, I'm talking about a book titled King of Torts by John Grisham. It's a book that, as the name implies, Torts. It's a book that is basically on law, court proceedings, criminal law, and others. Now, this is a very beautiful book that I learned so much from. It's quite educative, though some people have argued that you know novels are not supposed to be educative, though you gather more experience from novels, but they are not for um, educational purpose. But then I beg to the fact that this is a very educative book. It is a book that you gather both life experience from. It is a book that you'd also learn some about law, and you know it's just so interesting and educative. So let's dive straight to the book review, to the review proper. Now, from the opening of the book, we'll see where a young guy of 17 was just walking along the street, and then another young person coming behind, and before we knew it, the younger one at the front was shot by the one coming behind. And next we saw that the one who shot the guy was arrested. And during the court proceeding, the lawyer was like, okay, the judge was like, so you killed this person? He said yes. He said, so why did you kill him? It was like he just felt like he just wanted to. He didn't have any reason, that he just killed him. And that, of course, you'd agree, is a very unusual thing to happen. You don't just kill someone because your instinct tells you to. If you don't have a mental issue, if you're okay, and then you just wake up one day and decide to kill this person. And then, so because now this person that just committed murder didn't have anybody to stand for him. In fact, he was actually in a rehabilitational home before this event occurred. And prior to then, we're made to know that he escaped, he left the home, even though he had been clean for a good 100 days. And the reward for being clean from drugs, the reward for abstaining from drugs for 100 days, is that you get um a day out of the home, out of the rehabilitational center. So you'll be allowed to go out, and then you come back at will. But we're meant to know that he left, like, of course, after being clean for 100 days, he left like one day. He came back to the home. He needs to take drug. He was still fine. Then he left again. And then that was when that event happened. And so he didn't have anybody. He couldn't afford a lawyer. And what happens is that when you can't afford a lawyer, they would send a lawyer from the Office of Public Defense to represent you. Now, these lawyers are usually referred to as OPDs. And then the OPDs present in the court that morning suddenly disappeared, leaving only Clay Carter in the courtroom at the time of this guy's trial. And then the judge, the sitting judge, was like, so is there any OPD in the house? And then it was like, he looked around and he saw just one, and he said, would you like to take up the case of this young man? And of course, Clay Carter didn't have an option than to say yes. Now, Clay Carter is somebody who started practicing law even before he went to law school, because his father happens to be a lawyer. However, his father lost the certificates to practice after a particular case he handled. And so he left the town, he left the city to start fishing. So now, after then, of course, Clay Carter went to school. He was trained as a lawyer, and then he started practicing, but in the Office of Public Defenders. Now, public defenders are not like a regular lawyer. They work for the government and they get paid stipends. Their pay is not as much as the regular lawyer who works as solicitors, who works as barristers, or who works as you know litigators. Okay, the lawyers that work in public defenders just get paid little and they can hardly get by. So when he was called to handle this case, he was like, okay, he actually accepted, and by the time he got back to their office, he was like, he doesn't want to do this. Like, he just finished handling one murder case that didn't end well for his clients, and now they are giving him another murder case. Well, he just took it up, and there's just one major lesson that we would get learn from this book. Because before, okay, so now he actually accepted the case with the mind of dropping it anytime he has the opportunity to drop it. Now this is a young person. This client is a young person. He's just starting life. He doesn't have money to afford a regular lawyer, and if Lekata doesn't take up the case, he's likely to just lose it. Like, you just rotting there in jail. Is that jail we're gonna call that? Okay, so he took it up, and then suddenly he received the call from someone who said that he needed to see him, to see Clay Carter. And then Clay Carter went over to, meet this person. And this person just said, if you're going to drop this new case, we are going to give you a certain amount of money. Huge money. Can I say huge? Very huge money. Now, if you accept this money, it's going to become rich, and of course you start living like a better life, start driving car around the town, get a house for himself. But then there's a client that needs to be taken care of. So you want to wonder, did he take the money? Did he not? Well, yes, he did. He took the money. And that was after I was informed that this particular client of his was under the influence of the drug that their own company produced. But he accepted the money nevertheless. He said henceforth he will now begin to defend their company against his clients, against that young person. He accepted the money, but before he accepted the money, he went to see his father on the island where he works as a fisherman. And then when he got there, he went to, he greeted him. Then his father offered him a drink, and meanwhile his father is now a drunk. Like, he drinks heavily. And then, but Clay Carter went to greet his father with the mindset of asking his opinion, asking what he thinks of this particular issue. Should he take it? Should he not take the money? Should he continue defending the young person? Or should he just, take the money, forget about working in OPD, and just go and begin his career as a solicitor or as a litigator? So, but his father didn't give him a listening ear. So he left. He had just 2 days. He had the weekend to decide on whether he was going to take the money or not. And then he went over to see his father, thinking that he's going to get some wisdom from his father. But the night he arrived there, his father was, fishing, and it was evening, end of work for the day. So he was partying, and then they went to bed. The following morning, there was thunderstorm, so they could not fish. And then his father was like, so are we partying? And then some men came over and they started partying again. He didn't give his son any chance to talk to him about his present situation. And for lack of mentorship, for lack of a hand to lend him wisdom on what to do in instances like that, he accepted the money. And of course, like the saying goes, you can't stop at once. Once you start something bad, once you dive into something that is not good, once you make a bad decision once, there's a tendency that you keep making it if you're not careful. And so Clay Carter went in to collect the money, and then from there, that particular client just kept bringing more cases, and he kept defending, justifying the offender against the offended. And it went on like that. And of course, it didn't end well for him. It didn't end well for him. He took up a case that cost him, his certificate, that cost him, all the money he had. And then, of course, because the grieved this time around is not the patient one, is not the type to just sit and then accept their fate. They took justice in their own end and went against Clay Carter. He was injured, he lost his legs, that's using the wheelchair, and then of course he got married to somebody, he was lucky enough to get married to someone who could help him, stand by him even in times of trouble. And then he had to leave that town. He had to leave to go to another country and then start afresh again. But that was after his life was damaged beyond repairs. He was going to start from the crash, but he wasn't going to practice again as a lawyer. Something he spent his a fortune to acquire. He spent his time, of course, his mental health to everything, that all the resources he put in to acquire the certificate to be a lawyer, and then they lost the certificate. Shame. He left his country, his city shamefully. And so here is the wisdom in this, that of course there are just different lessons there to learn, and which is um, a lesson for parents and a lesson to children themselves. you know Even the Bible admonishes us. If you follow, um, if you've been reading your devotional, or if you've been reading your Bible, you see that the Bible says that parents, teach your children the way it should go. Now, parents think that this admonishment is for when their children are still toddlers. It's when they are still from 1 to 16 or 17. As far as God is concerned, as far as we are concerned, they continue to be your children even till they are old themselves, even till we are 70 and they are 50. They continue to be your children. So you should at every point in time be interceding for them, and then be ready to lend them your wisdom. Be ready to talk to them, listen to them, to see what is going on. No matter how old they are still your children. So you should always be ready, be concerned about their well-being. That is your primary purpose on earth as a mother, as a father, mother and father. As long as you go into marriage with the sole and then you plan to give birth to children, just know that you have the primary assignment of training your children in the way of the Lord, and always be there to listen to them, to hear what they have to say at every point in time, because they remain they are your children. No matter how grown they are, you will never at any point refer to them as your mother or as your father. No matter how grown they are, you never at any point refer to them as the one who gave birth to you, or as your friend. They might be your friend, but literally they are your children first before they are anything else to you. So you must be ready to scold them. You must be ready to, scold them, talk to them, to correct them at every point in time, no matter how old they are. If you don't, I tell you, you're going to regret it. You're going to regret. So you have to be ready to train your children from day one, from their 1 hour old on earth till they are grown, till you die and go and be with the Lord. You must train your child and keep training them. Be ready to listen to them. That's one lesson. And for children, Clay Carter is just a very sad one for Clay Carter, because he ended badly. He lost the certificate. So know that as a young person, this life has to do with processes. Life is about processes, stages. And then for the fact that you're small now doesn't mean that you're going to continue to be small even in the next 10 years. When you do the right thing, when you follow process, you're going to get the desired result. So you've got to be patient. Have you decided to be somebody who renders service to the public, or you chosen to work in a public health center or whatever, you have to do it diligently. If you don't want to stay there, just leave there and go to private sectors where you're going to be paid. Because once you're there, the Bible says, seest that a man who is diligent in his work, he shall stand before kings and not before mean men. So you might be small today because you're getting paid little, but trust me, if you're diligent enough, in years to come, you'll be a big person yourself. So be ready to follow. Don't try to jump stages. Don't try to climb the ladder from the top. You don't do that. Nobody does that. You start from small. It starts from learning, acquiring a skill. It starts from, working in a small company. It starts from, maybe even volunteering. From volunteering, you acquire experience, you acquire knowledge. Okay, so nothing really is a waste. No matter what, you feel that you're working and you're getting paid little, well, it's not worth it after all. But I'm telling you that it is worth it, because in years to come, when you flash back, you say in retrospect, I can't only say that God has been faithful. It wasn't a waste of time. That's going to be your testimony. And this is not me cajoling. I'm not trying to cajole or say anything. It is real. I have experienced it myself. I worked in a place for some time, and all the knowledge I acquired while working there, like, I still put them to use today. They still come in handy today. So whether you're volunteering or you're working in a place where you get paid little, you have to keep at it. Clay Carter wasn't pleased with what he was getting working in a office of public defenders, and so he got an offer. He just jumped on it in the absence of um, counseling, in the absence of mentorship. Just and then there's also a place of mentorship. So if you don't have a mentor, have somebody you look up to, and you keep asking yourself from time to time, is this okay? Is this what would we mom approve of this? And in a place where you don't have a godly mom, ask Jesus, will Jesus approve of this? You have to be frank with yourself and be honest with yourself. Will Jesus approve of this is the question. The book I've just reviewed is King of Thoughts by John Grisham. It's a beautiful book that I learned quite a lot from. And if you also pick it up, you learn about the difference between a litigator, a solicitor, and a regular lawyer. You learn about the difference between, also, of course, barristers. And then you also learn a lot about the um, negative effect of greediness. Greediness never have like a positive. It is not good to be greedy. It doesn't have any positive thing to hurt you. Selfishness too is not greedy. Clay Carter didn't consider what is going to be the lot of his client, young innocent person who was only under the influence of a drug that they administered to them in the rehabilitational home. And then he killed someone, was arrested, thrown into prison, and then he was suffering there. Clay Carter dropped his case for huge money when he could have stick to defending that boy till he comes out and become a better person himself. So if you enjoy this review, I like to give it a thumbs up. I mean, you have to like my video. You don't have an option. Just give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. It is free, totally free. Please subscribe to my channel, and if you enjoyed it, share it with friends and family. Tell them, let them know that life is about processes. Okay, life is about processes, and if you're diligent enough in what you do, you shall stand before kings and not before mean men. You only need to keep at it. Keep doing that which you do. Keep at it. In due time, you're going to harvest. Okay, so subscribe, like, and then drop a comment down below. Have you read the book? Please tell me what you think about the book. Do you enjoy it? What are the lessons you learned from it that I didn't mention? Or what are the other things you noticed, you observe about the book in terms of lessons that we can learn from the book? Thank you once again. My name is your mom. Follow me on my Instagram um and account at Oriofe Onimix. Follow me on Twitter at Oriofe Onimix. And follow Kingdom Lifestyle Radio. It's a radio station that broadcasts edifying content 247. 247 edifying content, and you need that. Of course, we all need that to survive in this world. So follow Kingdom Lifestyle Radio on Instagram at Kingdom Lifestyle Radio, on Twitter at Kingdom Life STR, and on Facebook Kingdom Lifestyle Radio. Of course, they also have their YouTube channel. They've got amazing content there. So follow them on YouTube at Kingdom Lifestyle Radio. Till I come up again, please stay blessed and keep reading LD. Bye.